Hey everyone, Michelle Seidling here with another episode of Food Experience Unplugged. Today we'll explore holistic solutions for mental health. Here to help us do that is health and wellness coach Dale LeCure. This podcast is available on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, and others. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please like it and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to be informed as new episodes become available. Also, be sure to check out our website at foodexperienceunplugged.com for some free resources as you begin your health journey. Dale LeCure, welcome to Food Experience Unplugged.
Hey, so nice to be here. Thank you for having me, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, Dale, we are so happy to have you here as the gut brain guru as we talk about that topic today and the importance of that on mental health, which is super, super important, especially in times of different stresses and things of that nature.
Yes, it's vitally important. That's where all the magic happens. It stems from the gut. It's amazing. We call it the motherboard.
The motherboard. Wow. Okay. Excellent. Well, hopefully we will learn from your magic today, undoubtedly, too. But to get started, will you introduce yourself for a moment and tell us what brought you to this point in your life and in your career?
Yeah, I love answering this question because it's so funny how it goes back to like when I was 10 years old. And now I'm in my 60s, but it's still like this theme that has run through my life. So when I was 10 years old, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. He was given a year to live, and he sought out alternative treatments. And it happened to be like in this area where I'm living right now, which is interesting as well. He lived for another 40 plus years. So that kind of got me on this path of really understanding that the body can heal itself. So I have 5 children, and I raised them all using homeopathy and acupuncture and herbs and chiropractic and just all natural all the way. And that led me to my being a health and wellness coach for the last 13 years. And for 10 of those years, I was focused on pretty much like weight loss and anti-aging. And now I was actually at a marketing conference and learning how to market online. And I ran into someone who was with the mental wellness company, Amare, which is the company that I'm currently with. And she was telling me about holistic solutions for mental wellness. My daughter had been struggling with anxiety, starting to have panic attacks, depression, pretty much her whole adult life. And looking back kind of as a child, I realized things were a little off too with her, but we never went like the medication route. She was that kid that went from 0 to 10, like in no time flat, and you didn't even know what happened to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So I was really intrigued. I was intrigued and said, let's try this, and I had tried some other things with her, some other supplementation, but the more I learned about the gut-brain connection, the more I was like, this is it. This is the missing link for her. I know it. Because I was that mom that was always organic. We ate very healthy. I kept them away from sugar for the most part. We were healthy, but I knew there was something off balance with her. So got her on the protocol. And literally 5 days in, she calls me. I was at an airport ready to go to a conference. And she called me crying, saying, I've never experienced this joy that I feel right now in my life. And so to be transparent, she had some ups and downs after that. I ended up calling the formulator and saying, what's going on? Why are there ups and downs during this process? And he explained to me how everything is stored in the gut, our emotions, everything. You cannot disconnect the body and the mind. And there is a type of detox that goes on when you start to balance the gut and start to provide it with, the probiotics, the prebiotics, the phytobiotics to kind of push out the bad stuff. And that there is some like emotional stuff that goes on. So it was really fascinating. So to this day, she is doing fabulously. She's embracing her gift of writing, which she had gone to college for, but kind of pushed under the rug and said, I can't write. And now she's embracing her gift, which makes me as a mom like beyond ecstatic.
Oh, that is amazing. Wow. I mean, 2 really amazing stories of transformation. I mean, your dad, so if I understood you correctly, initially he was only given a very short time to live, and he lived several decades after that.
Yes. It was incredible. Really, it really was. It really made an impression on me, at such a young age. It really
Wow.
did.
Yes, definitely. And I undoubtedly you learned the importance of health and balance
Yeah.
and other things even at that early age.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just, and the more I see, you know, I feel like people cannot reach their full potential if they don't have their health. I mean, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything really. I mean, you can't bring your gifts to the world, and we
Mm,
all have gifts. Many of them, are covered up because you have pain in your life or you're not mentally well, you know what I mean? So you can't bring your best.
mm,
So in terms of, what the gut, how is the gut like a motherboard, explaining a little bit about that and what I've learned is really fascinating because what we now know through science is that all of our neurotransmitters, like 90% of serotonin, for example, is created in the gut. So
mm,
serotonin, most of us know, is our feel-good chemical. Dopamine is another one, and that's our chemical or our neurotransmitter that helps with focus. Norepinephrine, GABA, all the neurotransmitters are produced in the gut. So if the gut is out of balance, which for the majority of us it is, um, then you're not getting those receptors. So you're not getting those feel-good chemicals. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Even the way that we sleep, our energy levels, immune function, which is huge, which is so important right now to keep our immune system strong. 80% of our immune cells are in the gut. So if we
mm,
can always, and that was always like, and that's really what holistic medicine is about, is getting to the root of things, not band-aiding symptoms. It's basically,
mm.
let's find the imbalance in the body, let's feed it, let's correct it, let's give it the nutrients that it needs, and then the body will be miraculous and heal itself.
Interesting. So you and basically uncovered the root causes both with your dad and your daughter?
Well, my dad, to this day, I have not been able to find out what was in the protocol that he had taken. It
Mm,
was developed by a doctor, and his name is Dr. Brown, and he lived in Pauling, New York, and he was trying to get this um, stuff. I mean, it was called VVP powder. It tasted like hay. It was disgusting. But my dad had all of us taking it. But this doctor that developed it was trying to get it passed through the FDA and could not.
mm,
But he had people coming from all over the country, flying to his home in Pauling, where we used to go and pick up cases of it. Um, he had people flying in from all over the country getting this, and I think his cure rate was like 85% of people were being healed from cancer or from this. So, but I don't know what was in it because at that age, I didn't, what do I know? My think looking back and the way that it tasted, it was probably a lot of minerals in it because it was very like earthy tasting, like very like tasted like dirt basically. Uh, and we know minerals are so important for the body, and we don't get a lot of minerals because our soils are depleted. So I know that that was a component of it. I'm not sure like what was in the rest of it.
mm,
So it was a little different what he did and what the gut brain axis protocol is, but also there is science proving that there's definitely a correlation with cancer and the microbiome as well. So there's more
mm.
research coming out about that now that they're really looking at. They're also doing some research about like schizophrenia and things of that nature, and how the microbiome plays a role in that as well. So it's really interesting science.
Okay, yes, definitely. Now, let's just take a step back for a moment.
Mhm.
What exactly do we mean when we say gut-brain connection?
Okay, so the gut actually signals the brain. So it tells the brain, I feel good, I feel tired, I feel inflamed. The gut will actually tell your body what is going on. So there's like a vagus nerve that connects the gut and the brain, and that's the communication highway. So the actual immune system is actually the communication highway. And that, like I said, there's 80% of immune cells are in the gut. So it's important that we get the gut into really good balance by providing it with targeted probiotics and prebiotics and phytobiotics so that it can give those signals, create those signals to
Mm.
the body.
Okay.
Does that make
Now,
sense?
yes, definitely. So now, how does that affect? I would presume that affects all types of health, but more specifically, mental health.
Right. So the reason that it makes such an impact on mental health is because again of those neurotransmitters. So if 90% of serotonin, which is our feel good chemical, is created in the gut, if the gut is out of balance, it's not going to create that. So that's why there's people feeling very low mood, or people that have no motivation because the dopamine isn't being produced, or people
Mm,
that are very stressed because there's the GABA is not getting to their brain. It's not being produced in the gut to keep them calm and keep them focused. So the norepinephrine is for focus. So there's certain hormones and certain neurotransmitters that are created in the gut that give us the ability to do those things, to stay calm, to have good stress resilience, to have good focus, to have good mood, to have better sleep, to have good
mm,
energy, all of those things. Or
okay.
digestion. I mean, digestion is really what people think of when they think of the gut. But the reason that it's so important is if you are eating something and your gut is out of balance, you're not absorbing the nutrients from those foods. So that's
Mm,
another area. So we have people like that have like gut issues in terms of digestion, or like constipation, or IBS, things of that nature too. That once
mm,
they're addressed, that also makes a difference in their mental well-being, which sounds crazy, but it's true.
mm,
So
definitely.
interesting. It really is. Especially with our
Mm,
children, because children don't really they can't necessarily articulate why they don't feel good. Like they can't necessarily say, I have low mood. Like they just don't identify with that. But you can tell, like a lot of times, like with their eating habits, or if they're craving a lot of sugar and that's all they want to eat, like then there's a gut imbalance. Because when
mm,
your gut is overgrown with bad bacteria, you crave sugar to feed that and keep that bacteria alive, which is the opposite of what we want to do. So
mm,
kids that have like focus issues, typically you'll see those kids like say, I have a tummy ache, but they don't make the connection. People don't make the connection that because my kid has a tummy ache, that's another reason why he can't focus. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't
mm.
make the connection, but there's a huge connection. Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is it a kind of a chicken and the egg type of situation? Does one cause the other, or is it more of a, mental health causes imbalance, or the reverse, or what
Yeah,
is it?
that's a
Is there
really great
anything?
question, Michelle. Yeah, I definitely feel like I said, the gut is the motherboard. So yeah, but you may not necessarily connect the two.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just say, what are the things that upset the gut or make the gut become out of balance? So um, poor diet, lack of sleep, so the body can't rejuvenate itself, right? That's going to upset the gut. Um, I said poor diet. Stress is like the number one thing. And we know that stress is like considered the epidemic of the 21st century. And stress affects the body in terms of like cardiovascular health, because blood pressure, all of that. But it also causes a dysbiosis in the gut. It causes the body to be very inflamed and very acidic. And typically, people that are like have high stress, they either don't sleep, they don't eat, or when they eat, they have like acid reflux because their body's so stressed. So yeah, it really all comes back to um, the gut. It really does. All of
Mm,
those things like environmental toxins will affect the gut. Foods, that are really high in, sugar definitely affect it, definitely cause that imbalance of bad bacteria in the gut, which is going to interfere with the gut creating those good feeling chemicals that it's supposed to create. So does that
mm.
make sense?
It does, yes. It's kind of a they go hand in hand, so to
They do.
speak. Yeah.
They do. They do. But I think, and especially with kids, I think it's really the first place to start because, like I said, they can't necessarily articulate, like, I don't feel good, like in a good mood, or I don't feel like I can focus. Like they don't use those words. But we know, like
Mm,
today, I did an interview with a mom who has three children that were diagnosed with ADHD. And those kids are on medications, and she has gotten them off of the medications by introducing this getting the gut back in balance. She had
mm,
there are many side effects with any drug. And her kids really experienced some pretty bad ones. So she was on the hunt to find a holistic solution. And when she got her kids on this, everything started to fall into place. She was able to reduce the meds gradually with the help of her doctor. And now she's like, her kids are doing amazing. They're able to focus. They're eating better, which they were resisting that, which is also very interesting because like kids will crave that bad stuff, but when they start feeling better, they crave the good stuff. And adults as well. You know, like when you're feeling sick or down, you reach for that food that's not so good for us. But when you're feeling good, you're less inclined to grab for that stuff that you know is going to make you not feel so good.
Okay. So it's almost a catch-22 of sorts. You're feeling bad so that you may not make the best health choices.
Exactly.
And then, you know, once you do, so where's that I guess where's that trigger point where you start to make, you know, the health choices? You know,
Right.
maybe you can you do that within yourself, or is it only through help with, you know, a medical doctor or other professional?
So once you start, and you know, it is true because when you feel bad, then it's hard to get yourself motivated. So
Mm,
to do something good, right, for yourself. So what we find is with this protocol, what we're doing is introducing targeted, clinically studied probiotics, prebiotics, and phytobiotics and psychobiotics that actually target those transmitters, those neurotransmitters. So we can clinically show you that, you know, it will decrease depression, it will decrease anxiety, it will increase sleep, it will increase focus, increase motivation. But once you start introducing those substances, those probiotics and prebiotics and all that, what will happen to the gut is it'll start to repopulate. So once you have a growth, you know, and the prebiotics are kind of what feed the probiotics, so they continue to proliferate in the gut. And what happens is it kind of pushes out the bad bacteria in the gut. It'll take it over. And then that's when you start making those better choices. That's when you start feeling better, start sleeping better, have better energy, a better mood. And that's when you start making the better choices. So it's kind of like you start here by, you know, introducing and repopulating the gut. And then people are like, I feel really good energy. I think I'm going to go exercise. Or I don't really feel like having that piece of cake right now. I'll choose something else. Like it's just a natural progression. It's not like, it's so interesting to see. Like it's so interesting. People are, you know, even myself, like I was always that I have to have something sweet in the afternoon. And then once I started repopulating and introducing the good bacteria, it was like, I wasn't even really thinking about it, which was like, this is really strange. But it's
Uh,
true. I hear
yeah.
it across the board.
Oh, wow, that is phenomenal. Now, does it depend on the severity of the mental health situation as to, you know, in some cases, you know, prescription medication would be appropriate versus holistics or some balance of the two?
Yeah. So if someone, I mean, and my whole mission here is to really get people to look at the holistic solutions first, really give it a shot. And then if, you know, they feel like they can't follow it, but it's such a simple regimen, they may have to use some medications on the side. But the two can certainly work together and what we see is people reducing the medication, and that has to be done under the direction of a doctor. Um, and then they can kind of replace it with the natural solutions and reduce the medication. So they can work together. They're not, you know, they're fine. There's no contraindications because it's not a drug. It's basically functional foods is what we're really talking about here. So
Mm,
it's totally fine for people. So if someone does have, like we have people that definitely have like, you know, some severe labels of mental illness, if you want to call it that, and they are getting relief. They're getting relief. And the thing that I really stress, and this mom today, the video I did today, um, the side effects are really serious. And sometimes somebody will go on an antidepressant, but then they'll start developing anxiety.
mm,
You know what I mean? So you really have to read and be educated and look at those side effects first. Because some of the antipsychotics are really hard to get off of. Like your body becomes dependent on it. but it's not getting to the root of the problem. It's not addressing the problem. It's just a Band-Aid approach. It's not fixing anything at all. So it's a fine line, but yeah, if somebody is really off balance emotionally, there's always a root cause. And what we know now through science has a lot to do with the gut microbiome.
Mm. That is amazing. And just, different food choices can make
Yes,
all the difference.
absolutely. Absolutely. Food is powerful. No question about it. Because if you have like a lot of sugar in your diet, like as a food, person, like what that can do is cause this overgrowth of yeast in the body, right? Also causes like really high like cortisol levels. So it plays havoc on your body, all of that yeast especially. So you're not gonna, and that's what we do with like repopulating is try to push that bad stuff out, that yeast and all of that, or the leaky gut it can heal a leaky gut. So I don't know if you talk about leaky gut at all, but
Mhm.
it's pretty common in people and they don't even know that it exists.
So it is, yes. Unfortunately, it's common, but
Yes, yes.
but
And doctors are not aware of it. So they go in with all these symptoms like, I don't feel good, my stomach is messed up, I have heartburn, you know, I have food sensitivities, I'm allergic to everything, I can't sleep. Like there's usually like a multitude of symptoms when you're
mm.
talking about, leaky gut. And it's like a mystery disease, you know what I mean? In a sense, because doctors have no idea, like, why are all these things connected? Like, why do you have all these symptoms? And they don't see it as going back to the root. They see it as, let me give you a medicine for heartburn. Let me give you a medicine for depression. Let me give you a medicine for anxiety. But there's
Mhm.
no connection. And in our bodies, everything is connected.
Mm. Absolutely. Now, you had mentioned different examples with your dad and your daughter. Are there some other success stories, if you will, of maybe those you've worked with or associated with who've really strengthened that gut brain connection and really,
Yes. One in
transform their health?
particular, when I went out to meet the company, the mental wellness company, Amari, I met a bunch of moms, not just moms, but the moms resonate with me as a mom of five. And a couple of moms, one who had very severe postpartum depression, where she was on the floor in the bathroom, just like could not cope, just could
Mm,
not cope. And she sought out the gut brain connection, the gut brain access protocol. And she, in I think it was like 6 weeks, was completely different human being. She was now
wow.
able to cope. She no longer had anxiety and depression. And so when I think about that, because that's another thing that a lot of women experience is postpartum depression.
Mhm,
And it's because of the hormone imbalance, but that also goes back to the gut. So it all seems to come back to the gut. And then so what's really interesting, so she has been on the protocol for, since her first one was born. Then she got pregnant with the second one and continued on the protocol. And she had no postpartum at all with her second
mhm. Okay. Wow. That is amazing.
one.
I
Yes,
just to think, and 6 weeks is not a
yes,
long time. You're not you're seeing results in very
right,
short period.
right. Yeah, we say like give it 30 days for every year that you feel like you've been off balance. There's
Mhm.
another story I'd love to share is a mom who they tragically lost the father. And one of the sons, she had three sons. The oldest son really had a hard time with it and was really acting out in school, just horrible. And the school was pressuring her to put him on medication. And she refused. She was like, I am not doing that. So she got him on the protocol because we have a children's line as well, the same thing, same protocol, but in a children, like all powder. Same thing though. I think it was around a 6 week mark again. She got an email back from the school saying, thank goodness you put your kid on medication. He's now scoring 90s on his test and he's an absolute joy to have in the classroom. And she was like, I
Wow.
did not put him on medication. So, I
Uh,
mean, that was huge. I remember like hearing her story. I was just like, wow. As a matter of fact, I have an interview scheduled with her um, later in the week. And we're going to talk
mhm.
about her story again so that people can hear it from her. Pretty
Yes.
wonderful.
Wow. And hopefully the school was pleasantly surprised about
Yes,
the not non-medication intervention.
yes, yes, definitely. And she, as a mom, because when you look at the side effects of Ritalin, it's pretty serious. Plus,
Mhm.
where is that kid's life going to go if he
Mm.
starts out at such a young age on an antipsychotic? I mean, that's pretty scary to think about where that child's going to end up. Not to mention labeling, the whole labeling of it and what
Mm.
that does to a child. It's really something. That's why I'm like really on a mission to get this message out.
No, that's fantastic, and it's much, much needed, very much needed,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it's and to think that, that food choices, the food choices that you make really contribute, and just even at that young age,
Absolutely.
whatever his current diet was, then,
Right.
just making those alternative choices really,
Yes.
really help.
Yes, definitely. We are what we eat, right? That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now what are some steps that people can take to really strengthen that connection, that gut-brain connection? I guess regardless of what they're experiencing currently.
Yeah. So again, the protocol that we have is targeted and has been clinically proven to really strengthen that connection. So that
Mhm.
is, an important step. I see it as my insurance plan for my life in terms of always having optimal health and making sure that my body is equipped to deal with viruses and whatever come my way. Um, but food too is important, absolutely. So if you are, eating a lot of sugar, start reducing that. You'll know that you'll feel better. You will start to crave better foods when you get rid of that sugar. Um, Sodas, like carbonation, is really bad for the immune system. It shuts down the immune system. 8 ounces of carbonated beverage will shut down the immune system for 12 hours. So that's something that you want to keep a handle on. You know what I mean? You want to reduce. But in terms of really strengthening that connection, is the targeted supplementation. It really is.
Okay, so it's kind of you focus on the prebiotic and the probiotic,
Yes. And the
so
phytobiotics
and the
and the
phyto.
superbiotics. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that is amazing. That just that balance and how that balance has really, can really affect you. Um,
Huge. I
or
have a group on Facebook called Mental Wellness Warriors. And in there, I do, live videos, and they're just a variety of people with autoimmune conditions, inflammation, depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, all sorts of stories that people have written, but also
Mhm.
live interviews that we do in there. And then we have a lot of science videos really explaining it. I'm not a scientist. I do my best in trying to explain it, but Dr. Sean Talbot is a nutritional biochemist, and he's really good at explaining the science of it all. And we have those videos in that group as well to educate people.
Mm. Okay, fantastic. Yes, we will include that in the show notes. Now, how can people get in contact with you?
So I'm primarily on Facebook. So you can find me, and I can give you that link to my personal
Mhm.
profile there on Facebook. Um, People can text me if they want. I can include that number as well. And I do have a website that people can go and look at the website and the science. We also have something called a mental wellness assessment, where it's a series of questions, and the continuum goes from 0 to 10. So 0 being very much a disease state, to 10 being optimal
Mhm.
health, vigor and mental acuity and no inflammation and just vigor, basically, the optimal, which is where we're all heading in that direction, right? We want to always be heading towards optimal wellness. So the continuum is interesting because most people will land kind of in the middle. And some of the things that you think may not, are common are like brain fog, allergies, like those types of things. But once you get the gut back in balance and you restore it, those things go away. We have people that have had allergies for 10 years that are now, gone. Now that the
Mhm.
gut is back in balance, people with headaches, all sorts of conditions. When you hear the stories and when you see the stories, it's usually not just one thing. There's usually
Mhm.
like an array of things that they had going on that are now healing. So it's
Mhm.
exciting to see.
Interesting. Yes, we will include all of that in the show notes. I really find it interesting that they've had a whole host of different
Yes,
symptoms or health situations,
yes,
and then just to really focus on the prebiotic, the probiotic, the phyto, and
yeah.
really rebalancing that. That's huge.
Yeah, it really is interesting that the same exact protocol is giving people different results based on where they're at, where their
Mhm.
body is at. It's fascinating. It really is. It's
Yes.
amazing. Sleep too. People that I'm working with someone right now. She's like, I haven't slept in I can't even remember how long. Going through the night with like rest, like waking up feeling good, like going through those cycles of REM sleep like we're supposed to, so our
Mm.
body can heal and restore. You know what I mean? So it's really exciting stuff.
No, that is fantastic. So, well, Dale, it's been a pleasure. I'm excited about your focus on the gut-brain connection and really honing in on helping people with a variety of different mental health situations to really focus and rebalance that gut. That is so huge, and it's been really a pleasure to really delve into to that connection and how you can optimize it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I hope that I explained it in a way that makes sense. But like I said, Dr. Sean does a way better job. So I invite you to come and friend request me, and then I can add you into our mental wellness warriors community. And you're going to see some incredible stories in there.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to it. Thank you so much, Dale.
You are more than welcome. Thank you.